All right, hi everybody. We are just waiting. Some people are saying they can't get in, so we're just giving everyone a few more minutes to log in before I start. I promise to keep it short and sweet. And we'll get started right away. Also, you should have received an email with this PowerPoint. And again, I will send more information as they come to us. But again, everyone should have that information. So give me 1 second while I see what's going on with the people not being able to get in, and we'll get started. Hi, everybody. Question for everyone on here. Did you guys need a passcode to get in? It didn't work. It shouldn't require one. Okay, so I'm getting people that are saying
I didn't.
Yeah, there was no passcode on this meeting. So hopefully they'll figure it out. They'll join us, but I am recording. So I'm going to go ahead and get started as people pop in. Thank you all for being here. Again, this is an informational meeting about our trip to New York for Reef drama. This will be actually the first time I'm leading this trip. I've taken this trip with middle schoolers many times before, but since COVID, we have not taken this trip through Coral Reef drama while I've been here. So I'm very excited. So I'm going to go ahead through the slides. And if anyone has questions at the end, I'm happy to try to answer them. But in general, I'm going to go through the basic information of the trip. The trip dates are February 18th through the 20th, which is right before President's Day. That there's a long weekend in school. There's no Monday on school that day, that Monday following the trip. So anyway, we'll go over the specific itinerary, the costs. As of right now, the field trip has been sent to the region. It was approved by our in-school admin, but we are awaiting it to come back to us signed by the region. Until we receive it back from the region, I cannot collect funds, but we will talk about the pricing and trip information today as well. And then hopefully we'll just kind of be on standby, waiting for that approval to come back before we collect deposits so we can reserve our airfare, which is the most crucial in terms of the pricing of the trip. All right, so here I go. So again, we're using Scholastic Journeys. If some of you may know, Anna Madero, she's actually working for them before. She's a former Reef Drama School drama teacher, so she's actually done this trip, and so she's helping to kind of plan this as a liaison, which is wonderful. But they are an approved vendor for Miami-Dade County Public Schools. They're licensed, insured, been open for 25 years of business. There's an emergency number. A lot of reasons we decided to go with them, including their pricing, but also their access to some of the workshops that we wanted to take. So we will be, again, just kind of generally, I want to start this off by, this is an amazing, fun trip. It's a wonderful experience for your students. But number one, this is an educational field trip. We're traveling as a group. This is not a family vacation. It's not a hangout vacation. We have a very busy schedule, and just kind of like want to preference you and your students in that this is a group mentality. We travel everywhere as a group. We are on a very strict time schedule. So it's making sure you have a conversation with your student that this is not for them to hang out in their rooms with their friends. This is not for them to go meet people that they know that live in the city. This is for us to go see shows and do workshops and take in all of the what Manhattan has to offer in the current theater scene. We have a liaison through the tour directing company. We also include, a lot of walking. We take the subway, which I'll go over, and of course, appropriate dress. As you send your kids on this is a school function, all of those things. Again, Coral Reef drama representing here in New York City. So just remember, this is a school-sponsored trip. This is not a family vacation. This is not a hangout vacation. So just want to make sure that everybody is on the same page for that. But we are, again, given that, it is amazing. It's so much fun. Packing, of course, we'll talk about this when it gets closer, but of course, we're going to ask for your guidance to help your students pack. It's going to be cold, where there's not a lot of time for changing. We'll return, we leave the hotel in the morning, we have a full day of activities, and then we'll return usually once before dinner and the evening show. But again, we'll update you on travel and a specific packing list as the trip gets closer. Okay, but we are going to be going during a very cold time, so we want to make sure we're prepared for that. All right, so in terms of airline information, if you've never had your student travel without you before, anyone over 18 must have a photo ID. Of course, given the current state of flying right now, we want to make sure that, we're there extra early, that no one's late to the airport. We need to make sure when we say to be there, that it's very important that you're there, so that we're not being held to go through security if they don't make the plane, that we're not gonna be able to take them on the trip, so it's very important that time-wise, you pay very specific attention to the itinerary. Again, we also have TSA and security issues. Again, we'll go through this. There are not a lot of check bags on this trip, no check bags. I can speak from personal experience. You don't want to check a bag right now anyway. Okay, so carry-on bags only, and as little packing as possible is going to be really important. Again, we'll go through the specifics of that, as we get closer to the trip. All right, okay, accommodations for hotels. I do have a specific hotel that we've already pinpointed with the tour for this certain price. But again, remember, if you've never been to New York, hotel rooms are smaller. It's a lot more tight than if you're going somewhere else. And we will be, the prices we've just found out from the district were approved for 4 students per room, which helps a lot with costs. We'll talk about that as we go farther down the line, but just so you know, and the rooms will be obviously monitored by myself, Mr. Castillo, and any chaperones that are attending the trip. We will be staying at the Hampton Inn Times Square Central, given that this is very walkable, it's very close to everything, so including a lot of the theaters that we're going to be seeing shows at. Again, so this is the address of the hotel is 220 West 41st Street. It's the Hampton Inn Times Square Central. There are a few Hampton Inn Times Squares. They have different north, south, central. Again, we'll give all of this information, but if your student is curious, that is where we are going to be staying. In terms of meals and this pricing, pretty much everything is covered. Breakfast at the hotel. Some of the, we have a lot of food courts or box lunches and dinners, but in the itinerary it lists, basically item about what you need to supply extra money for, but a lot is included. So please make sure the amount of, they don't need a ton of extra spending money. That's up at your discretion. But a lot of it is included in the trip. Okay. But the tour guide took a lot of care in mixing restaurants, box lunches, etc. All right, so I know this is a little bit blurry, but I will send out another digital copy for you. So the trip leaves on February 18th. We leave from MIA. Okay, we will fly the flight we hope to get on is American Airlines flight 2183 that leaves at 6:05 a.m. Probably our meet time at the airport will be very early, close to 3:30 a.m. We want 2 hours to get through security with this big of a group. I know it's early, but we want to make sure the students have a full day. Okay, a very full day, and we will be flying into LaGuardia. Okay, so into LaGuardia, if you are someone in New York that knows the airports, I just flew through there. There's some construction still, but a lot of the terminals have been upgraded, so it just depends on the day. The flight lands at 8:52. We will have a motor coach meet us at the airport and transfer us to the hotel, where we will leave our bags in storage until it's check-in time. Okay, and from there, we will attend an improv workshop and a show where we'll have lunch during the show. Okay, the students will get to watch a little bit of the show and then participate in an improv workshop. Then we will return to the hotel for check-in and freshening up before we go to dinner. Okay, the dinner and show has not been exactly figured out yet. Usually it's somewhere like somewhere in Times Square. We've eaten at anywhere from sometimes we do like trying to think of some of the places like a TJ Fridays type style place, somewhere where there's a fixed menu where they can choose. And again, if you have vegans or vegetarians, we'll ask in advance. There's be plenty of options for dietary restrictions, okay, as we get closer to the trip. And again, the Broadway shows, they usually open 6 months out. A lot of the shows are currently closing right now and reopening. So as soon as we have options for shows, They'll let me know what our options are within our price and our budget, and then we will vote as a class of travelers, which shows we would like to see. Okay, we usually try to see a variety of types of shows, but again, the students that are attending the field trip will get a chance to put their input in. After that show, we return home to the hotel for the night. Again, sometimes we'll let them, if they want to, go to Junior's for a glass of cheesecake. If there's a group that wants to go with chaperones and it's close, we'll allow them to do little things like that. But again, they'll be assigned a chaperone in a group that we stick in. No one's allowed to go anywhere alone or unsupervised. Okay. I know they're high schoolers, but it's still a big city. Again, the next day, February 19th, we'll wake up pretty early. Again, the workshop times are not specific yet, but we'll have breakfast, which will be included at the airport, at the hotel. And usually this is something more of like a continental style breakfast, cereal, milk, juice, bagels, things like that, not a full hot breakfast. Okay. And again, your student will need to make sure they get up early enough to eat the breakfast. We'll have a hotel meeting time. Hey, we're meeting at 8:00 in the lobby. Make sure you've already showered and eaten by that point. And then we're going to be doing a Broadway rehearsal workshop. Usually they bring in an artist from a show that we're seeing, whether it's dance, acting, music. They try to do one of each, that in my past experience. And sometimes there's a talk back with a cast member from either the show we're seeing later that night or the show we've seen already the night before. And then we'll see a matinee, a little bit of time to explore Times Square. Again, return to the hotel to change and freshen up, shower, go to dinner somewhere within walking distance, and then see an evening show as well. So that day, our day 2 is a packed day, a workshop, and 2 shows. All right. And then again, returning to the hotel after. On the 3rd day, we wake up, we eat breakfast. The students will pack everything that day into their suitcases, clean their rooms, and then we will put our suitcases in storage. Okay, while we go and transfer to, we have a tour and workshop at AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And then we have lunch, and then we will be going to NYU for a campus tour and meet and greet with some alumni, okay, which is very cool. Okay, then our bus will pick us up there and take us to LaGuardia. Okay, the dinner will be included at the airport, okay, as well. And then we will be returning hopefully on flight 2809, leaving LaGuardia at 7:59 p.m. and arriving at 11:15 back in Miami. Okay, the transport to the airport and the pickup from the airport will be by the parent, okay, or by a guardian. So we will have forms that will say if it's not you, guardian that is picking them up, there'll be an extra release form saying this is who's picking my child up. Here's a copy of their license. You are free to let my child go with this person. Okay. People have asked, can my child drive themselves to the airport? Okay. Again, there'll be a release form for that. I don't know why you'd want to do that because it costs a lot to park at the airport. But if that is your decision, then again, there would be separate forms for them to be able to drive themselves. Okay. To park at the airport. Okay. That's the basic itinerary. Again, I know it's still pretty general this far out. As we get more details, we'll go. Again, just reiterating, this is very important in terms of safety that you have talked. We will reiterate them as well, but like be aware of their surroundings. A lot of times students are like this, walking through the streets of New York with a phone in their face. No, right? They got to be phone down in their pockets, aware of traffic, aware of other people walking. It's a busy city and we'll do a lot of walking. Okay. So it's really important that they know where they're going, that they stay in communication with me or their chaperone at all times, and they stay with the group. Okay. This is just a safety thing. Again, never had an issue before, but always good to be vigilant. All right, so what everyone really wants to know is what is the price, okay? So currently right now, we are looking at if we have 50 travelers, okay, which we are hoping to get, the price of the trip, all inclusive of all the food, the lodging, the airfare, the bus transfers, all of that is $1,699. It also will include a long sleeve Reef drama shirt that's going to be specifically designed for this trip that we will use for travel. Okay. So that will be given to everyone that is attending the trip. Okay. That's included in the tour price. You will have a participation form that looks like that to fill out after you give the initial deposit, okay, that will give your payment schedule based on your choice of like rooming, okay? And I'll talk about the rooming in a minute. Again, if we get less travelers, of course, the trip price goes up slightly because the things that we share, like our motor cage and our motor transfers, won't be split by as many people. Okay, that's the reason for the difference in pricing. Right now, the trip is only open to the production class. That's 11th and 12th graders. If we do not meet the required 50, the minimum 50, I will open it then to interested sophomores, okay, that would like to go on the trip, if just to try to keep the cost down for everyone. Okay, so that's sort of how it's been done in the past, and that's how we're going to do it this year. There are 51 members of the junior and senior class, okay, but that number 50 includes also chaperones, okay? Chaperones pay their way the same on this trip as they do on most of the other Reef field trips, okay, but that price is the same. All right, there is, of course, a rate ladder based. This is all based on quad occupancy as well, that there are 4 students in a room. If for whatever reason there's room, we have an uneven number, there's 3 students, pricing may adjust by a few dollars to accommodate. Okay, so your final trip price, I will not know until the number of travelers is finalized. In terms of room upgrades, if you are a chaperone and you are traveling and you would like to room with your son or daughter, no one else besides your son or daughter is allowed into the room with you as per Miami-Dade County Public School rules. Okay, that is unfortunately non-negotiable. We need to submit a rooming list. Okay, but if you are going and you would like either a room by yourself if you're a chaperone, I don't want to share with the chaperone. This is not an exact price. Okay, this is an estimate from our tour company based on what we know now. But like in the past, this has been the upgrade price. If you want to be alone and not with other chaperones, it would be an additional $490 on top of the $1,699. Okay. If there's a double room, the price increases by a bit. This is approximately $163 trip room again. And this also costs, if these are students that we're having to change rooms, that cost is absorbed by all the travelers. Okay. That's how it works on all of our field trips. But just to be fully transparent, some people are like, well, why is it $5 more, $5 less? We won't know the exact price until we know the exact number of travelers and the exact room accommodations. So yes, chaperones, you must pay the same deposit of traveler, and you must be a level 2 volunteer ASAP, okay? We must have your fingerprinting done in order to include you on the paperwork no later than November 15th, okay? That means if you are someone that's interested in going this trip, you should be putting that in immediately because it's been taking a long time to go through, okay? Also, as a chaperone, be willing that you're also on a group trip. Obviously, things happen, but we really fully count on you and need you to help us with the maintaining of a large group. And that, again, they're a great group. They're, seniors and juniors in high school. They don't need to be necessarily like Hawkeye, but we do need them to help get them on and off in some way to make sure we're doing room checks at night. There's a lot of them and we need your help. So please, and I said, please be fun, but that's obviously all of you are wonderful. And we just want to have a really fun time this trip. We've had such a great time in the past, and it's been a wonderful experience for the students and the chaperones traveling as well. Again, the payment schedule, again, all of this is still tentative, okay, but I wanted to get this information out there because a lot of people have been asking me about it. So I'd rather give you the information up front and then give you some changes as we continue on with the process. In order to secure your spot on the trip, what we'll need is a deposit, okay? After the initial deposit is given, then the paperwork will come in where you'll have to sign it, register, and you'll be giving a specific payment schedule. We'll go through the rooming list and you'll decide, okay, this is our rooming options. What, do you want a single room? Do you want to, whatever. Okay. The deposit is going to be $250. Okay. And again, the date I do not have yet because we cannot start collecting money until it comes back from the region. Okay. So that's why it's extra important that everyone signs up for that booster remind. I know that Anna emailed it out with this PowerPoint this afternoon. So if you don't know how to get on the remind, it has a step-by-step PDF that gives you instructions. It is new from last year. Our admin wiped our reminds from last year. This is a new one. And so if you are like, but I was on it last year and I'm not getting the messages, it's because it's a different code. Okay. So it's this one is, hold on, I don't want to say the wrong thing. where's my mind? This year is at 57, at 5744 boost. Okay. So again, this is different from last year. So please just make sure that if you were in it last year, you're not getting messages, go ahead and check that out. Again, check that PDF out about, what you need to do to get involved. Okay. It's really important. Again, also, it's very important to note, okay, this has been a policy for Reef since COVID started, and they're continuing it. When it comes to field trips, there is a no refund policy. Okay. So we really need to make sure once you pay that deposit, you're committed to the trip. Okay. You will not receive that deposit back. They are non-refundable. Okay. So that's really important that you have a discussion now with you and your student. A lot of students have been asking me about fundraising, what can we do, Miss Sabina? So the deal with field trips is we can do a fundraiser, if Booster can do a fundraiser, and we can put it towards the funds. This is such an expensive trip. I will be very honest with you that say we raised $800 at Chipotle, divided that by 500, divide that by 50 travelers, it's a very small amount off of the total. Okay. So, just be realistic with the amount of money. I'm happy to support any sort of fundraising efforts that the students want to try to do, that the booster wants to try to support. However, in realistic terms, the majority of this trip will be funded through the individuals. Okay. So I think, again, this is just a quick recap. If anyone logged in late, trip dates, February 18th through the 20th. Again, we leave very early on the 18th. We get back very late on the 20th. Okay, that is President's Day, the weekend surrounding President's Day. Again, approximate cost per traveler, $1,700. That includes most of your meals, flight, transport, hotel, 3 Broadway shows, 3 workshops, and a t-shirt. Okay, so that's what's included in that price. Again, there are 56 spots on the trip minus us, so 54 minus whatever chaperones we have. Okay, the slots will be on a first come first served basis. Or the deposits we open only to first to the production class. If after the first deposit date I don't get a full roster, I will then open it up to the sophomores. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. Again, parents, please do not pay a deposit for yourself if you are not a level 2 volunteer. You need to get your level 2 clearance first before you pay the deposit. So if right now I want to go on this trip, you should start that paperwork right now tonight. Okay, if you haven't already, okay? Because again, it's taking a little bit longer than normal to get back. All right. So again, I did record this for anybody who logged in late. I will post it onto our YouTube channel. Okay. If you're missing that, I'll also send the copy of the link and have Anna email it out to everyone that missed the meeting. But right now I'll go ahead and open if anybody has any. Okay, here's a question. Given the high amount of flight cancellation, if the flight's missed and they miss this show, what are the contingencies? That is a great question. Again, I will work with the tour company to ask those questions. I don't know. I'm sure there is some contingency in the contract that will include, what happens if it is a unavoidable, not out of our control cancellation. Okay. When I say no cancellations, no refunds, that's just based on you as a person deciding, hey, I'm not going to go on the trip this anymore. We have a family vacation or, whatever happens. Okay. But in terms of an act of God or those things, I will, look over the contract. We haven't signed anything with them yet. Okay. Right. Because we cannot legally sign anything until we get approval from the region. So I haven't read through those details, but they do this a lot. So I'm sure they have contingencies with that. They work with these companies a lot. They work with these ticketing agencies a lot. So I promise that we, in our deposit, before we have the deposit due, when the field trip is finalized, I will have either another one of these Zooms or I'll send out an informational email that has all the information that you need. So that's a great question. So the room accommodations are, yes. So the room accommodations are usually 2 double or 2 queen beds. So for 4 people, 2 students will share a room, 2 students will share a bed in the room. Okay. The only reason there will be pullouts, usually New York is very specific. There's no pullouts. Some trips do, like when we go to states, there's options for pullouts because there's space, but in the rooms in New York, there's usually not space. So we're limited to 4 rooms. We cannot have more than that. And it would be, again, 2, I believe these are double beds, or in most of the New York rooms, sometimes they get queens depending on the hotel. I'll find that out. And then the students will share a bed. Okay, so 2 students share a bed, 4 students in a room. Okay, or if you're a chaperone, you would be adult in with another chaperone, you each would get your own bed. Okay, unless you want to upgrade to the single room. Any other questions? I'm looking in the chat here. Okay. Hold on. Someone type something here. Oh. All right, chat. Okay, I'm not seeing, someone just sent something, but it didn't come through. Hold on. So any idea how much state? Okay, so state, the state, so that's a good question. Someone asked, what is the pricing for state? Because a lot of the people that are traveling this trip would be the same students that would be attending state festival. So that's a great question. Again, we're not expecting a huge price increase. As we know already from the last meeting, district prices did go up by $5 an event. So instead of being $5 an event, it's $10 an event. Now that was our district doing that price raise. We have not yet heard of a price increase, unless Joelle, you heard differently. Mr. Castillo, have you heard differently for state pricing?
So they usually have a meeting in January with the state director, and then that's when we get the information. So we don't know yet.
Yeah, so again, but we are assuming about the same. We're trying, Mr. Castillo has already put in the paperwork for a hotel that's closer to the venues this year. Although those of you who went last year, we had big rooms, but it was a little bit far. So we needed the motor coach to get to and from the events. We're hoping this year to cut costs by staying, the hotel is very close and we can take the transportation that is just like the trolleys and things provided by the festival. That way we'd only need the bus to get up there and to come back. We wouldn't need it for the interim days, which would save a lot of money. So again, it's one of those things where, we can, the cost last year, I think the kids ended up paying something like I think it was what, $700 something, for the 3 days. Is that what you remember, Castillo? Something like that, $750. So
yeah, I said something.
It might be about the same. Again, we're staying at a closer hotel. It's a little nicer, so it's a more expensive per night. However, it is, we're losing the bus expense for the in-between days. So again, until we get those final quotes back, we won't know exactly how it kind of evens out. And of course, this is not a required trip. We totally understand that this is a huge expense. It is a privilege for these students to go on this trip. This is 100% your family's decision about, what day. So, unfortunately for us, this is when we could go on the trip. As you know, we have a very packed schedule. Almost every week and weekend, we have something between competition, musicals, showcases, playwrights, states, a lot. Okay. So we, it's a lot of expensive. We totally understand that. Again, this is a trip that Reef Drama has been taking for quite some time. I used to take my middle schoolers as well pre-COVID, and it's always very fun. But again, all the dates for all of this is on the Reef Drama calendar. If you go to reefdrama.com and you scroll down, everything is in the calendar. You can scroll through to see the dates of states and all of that to kind of plan out your family's, budgeting and things like that. Again, the $1,700, that estimate is for room. Okay, someone asked that in the chat. Is that for quad occupancy? Okay, so again, I know it's a lot of information. Mr. Castillo put in there. So the 16th through the 19th is the state competition. Again, depending when we exactly travel for that will depend on if we take a one act, right, when we're going to be traveling. So again, those are still estimate dates, how many nights we're going to be staying for that as well. Okay. Do we have any other questions in general right now? Again, this is kind of, we're speaking hypothetically. sort of, still until we get the approval from the region, but I want to give you enough lead time to have those discussions as a family as possible. And again, if you have any other questions that you think of between now and when you hear from me that the trip is approved, please feel free to reach out via email or via Remind. But either way, please get your volunteer numbers. You'll need it also for state competition if you're considering that trip. So, you know, we're trying to pack in a lot of stuff these students have been asking for these years. No deposit yet. Someone said no deposit. So if you logged in late, we are not allowed to accept deposits until it returns from the region. The paperwork has been sent out, but sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes 2 weeks. So, you know, we send our bids out, we send everything to them, and they just have to approve it. Again, the deposit will be $250. All of the payments will be made through OSP, which is the school payment system. Nothing will go through Booster. It will appear in OSP just like any other field trip. It'll appear as like payment number 1, and then we'll have segmented payments. Okay, so they'll be spread out over the course between now and the time of the trip in segments based on, you know, and everyone's balance may be different for the last, depending on the room occupancy for chaperones versus student travelers, etc. Okay, but again, that registration form that you saw in the PowerPoint will be given to you once the deposit is made for you to have, and you'll be given a copy of it so you know the payment schedule and all of that. Okay, any other questions I can say before we log off tonight?
So, hi, Ms. Sabina. Just to recap, as far as the range, so you need a range of 30 to 50 students, and the range financially is 1,800 at 30, 1,700 at 50.
Yes, yes. And again, the goal is to take that bigger number, obviously, because we're saving on cost. And definitely already some sophomores have expressed interest in the trip. If, you know, they are able to go. Again, I won't do that until we hit our first deposit. Okay.
Sorry. So my question for the travel company is, if the range is from 35 to 50 students, why is the price difference only $100?
Probably because the thing is, it's a shared, whatever's the shared expense. Okay, things that we like, if one student goes, they pay it, right? If they go to the Broadway show, tickets are the same. It's one, you know, if one person goes, you pay that price. Where the price difference is for the group is anything that we share an expense on, like the travel, the motor coaches from the airport. Like sometimes at restaurants, they give group discounts for different levels of how many people you bring in. Okay. I can, again, the next meeting we have, I think Anna Medeiros will be trying to log into that. So maybe we'll answer some of the specific financial questions in terms of booking. She's the one that deals directly with the vendors and could give you more of an idea. But in my experience, that's sort of, you know, what that price difference is that it's only the things that are shared by a group that bring that price down. Everything like the show tickets or the show ticket price, you know, matter whether we take 10 people or whether we take 50. Okay. There's a question in the chat. What are they going to be doing at AMDA and NYU? So AMDA, they're going to be touring the campus and they'll be doing a workshop. And then at NYU, they'll be taking a tour of the campus and we're trying to arrange right now to have alumni just like take them on that tour and show them around. So again, we're still working on some of the details. Yes, and again, I know I'm not making any of the arrangements. I thank you for your recommendation. If you want to send it to me, I'd be happy to forward them on to our tour guides. But they've been doing this a very long time. They've been in business 22 years. Reef Drama has been doing, even though this is my first trip and Mr. C's first trip with Reef. Again, I've been familiar with this company at Palmetto, and also they've worked with Core Reef Drama I think they did this trip for like 10 years before pre-COVID, before my time. So they are very, you know, well-versed in the places to go and the transportation and making sure we are fully, you know, ready for this trip and prepared and have the best experience possible. But please, if you have a hookup for a restaurant that can get us a discount or something, by all means, you know, I will be happy to pass that on. We're happy to save, you know, or get some extra things anywhere we go. I know people have connections all over the place, so we're happy to pass that along. Any other questions I can answer now? I know there was a lot coming at you. And again, Another little caveat, Wednesday is open house for those of you who are coming. Hopefully you'll join us at 6 o'clock. You go to your students' homeroom and that's a whole Reef open house. So I'll be seeing a lot of your faces there on campus again, finally, for the first time in a couple years of full open house. All right, so I'll let you guys go. And again, I will make sure this gets sent out and posted if you have anyone that's missed this. And again, you should have already received the PowerPoint that had some of that information on it. All right, thank you guys so much. Looking forward to some great things. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a great night.
Thank you.